So today in this video I'm just going to talk a little bit about pressure and um, the role of pressure in change. Now, when it comes to, let's say, evolution, we know that if you believe in evolution, that is, it's an interesting concept, but up for debate, obviously. So if you believe in evolution, and you see how for things to evolve they need some kind of pressure, some kind of resistance. There needs to be a reason for the change to take place. Otherwise, like the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We have sharks in the ocean that have barely changed shape in a million years, as far as they say, even though no one's been around that long to verify it. With all the testing and scientific evidence, they can say that sharks haven't really changed much over that time. And same with alligators, crocodiles, octopus, all sorts of different species have remained pretty much the same, as far as we know. And so the things that do evolve, things that do change, because there's some kind of probably life-threatening extinction event that forces the signals to switch on and off in the DNA to cause upgrades to take place. And so, this last couple of years with the COVID pandemic and all sorts of things happening around that, there has been some massive changes in people's lives, and whether it's direct or indirect, the severity of those changes, everyone's being affected by it. So therefore everyone is being forced to change. Now, on the grand scheme of things, this is what some people would call a quantum jump in evolution, because never before, at least in my lifetime, has an event like this taken place that's affected the whole world simultaneously. I mean, previously we're talking about World War I and World War II, and in the New Age books, like Conversations with God, the questions are, why would a benevolent God let things like these atrocities happen? And from an individual standpoint, I can understand that question, but from an overreaching, large timescale perspective, when the concern is for survival and growth and evolution, things dying off in the meantime is a small sacrifice in comparison to the rewards and the gains that come out the other end. Now, of course, if you're on the receiving end of that extinction, then it's no fun. It's scary. It's terrifying. It's horrifying. It's the feelings and the emotions that come with that are not helpful for you to grow unless you decide to make changes. And these pressures, these hardships, these battles for survival are not just on the traditional time scale of three-dimensional. They're popping you into a new timeline in the multidimensional universe, not the multiverse on the internet. That's the metaverse. Just a very similar concept. So once we pop into this new way of being, that pressure on us, it can be so intense and so excruciating, so painful, that you will look for any reason to get out. You'll look for any escape you possibly can. And in the context of evolution, if that scenario isn't presented to you, you probably wouldn't change. You'd probably just cruise along forever and ever, lifetime after lifetime, eon after eon, and never change and never upgrade and never evolve. But because of this external pressure, this, bone crushing, soul crushing, excruciating, agonizing pressure of life continuing on the way it is, we are forced to think differently. We are forced to deal with our emotions in a new way. We are forced to behave and interact in a new way. We're forced to take new action. And all those things lead up to a crescendo of massive change. Okay, and in the moment it feels like nothing's taking place. It feels like you're not getting anywhere. It might feel like you're going backwards, but what you're doing is you're sliding sideways along into a new frequency in order to find the release. And when you find the release, you find that new frequency, you will also find that you, like the caterpillar going through the chrysalis and coming out of the cocoon, all the past, all the old behaviors, all the things that kept you stuck in that old timeline are squeezed out of you. They're literally like a toothpaste, they're squeezed right out until there's nothing left. And you leave that old frequency in the old frequency. And then once you do that, then it allows you to pass through the eye of the needle into the new frequency, the new timeline, taking on new thoughts, new emotions, stepping into a new body and taking new actions, and ultimately arriving in a whole new reality that you are now in harmonic resonance with and are able to sustain. And furthermore, hopefully with all the learnings that you took from moving from one state to another, one frequency to another, one reality to another, you will have enough in your toolkit to be able to jump off from that new platform pretty much into any new frequency you choose. Now, how do we ground this? Like, okay, let's put this into normal, tangible terms that we can all understand now that there's so much media around it. Like I said, the similarity between the multiverse and the metaverse. The metaverse is this, Internet 3.0. They're talking about, places online which are going to be virtual. You will have a virtual avatar. You'll be able to teleport from different servers and rooms and places and times and events to meet other people, other virtual people in their places, their times and their events. And pretty much you'll be able to create your own reality within the metaverse, and you can share that with people, and you can share other people's reality with them. Now, this is a new kind of concept, and we're not really going to fully grasp the gravity of it and the complexity and the opportunities of it until we're in it. Just like when the internet came out and people were talking about being able to watch the same program at different times and not have to fast forward or rewind or pause, or you could just watch your program at any time, and someone else on the other side of the world 3 days later or 3 weeks later or 3 years later could watch the same program when they choose to. And going from the old TV programming, that was like, how does that work? Because everyone was on the same one time scale in when you talk about TV programming, like free to air TV. But when we moved to the internet, we got onto YouTube and social media and things like that, websites. You were in your pretty much moving around in there in your own time, and you could interact and participate in different time scales. One thing I'm doing recently is I'm starting to learn how to trade cryptocurrency, and if you look at TradingView, you can look at the same, say Bitcoin moving up and down on a 1 minute time scale, a 3 minute time scale, a 5 minute time scale, a 15, half an hour, or 1 hour, pretty much any time scale you like, all the way up to, a year. Um, but it's the same. It's the same flow of cryptocurrency moving up and down, and so we'll be able to move into this new frequency where the balance of power of being cause and effect is going to start to move into your favor, because what we know about the mind is that the mind doesn't need to necessarily have a real experience for it to feel real. And so now that we go into this metaverse, and we can experience all these different things virtually, and we can experience them in different time scales with different people showing up as different things, then doing things, from the safety of our chair, basically, where the body can actually, and the body and the mind can have the experience of having the experience virtually without physically being there. Now, what we know about the mind is that when this happens, the body changes, the body adapts, and miraculous things can take place, like spontaneous healing, people with degenerative diseases going into remission through thought alone, people, and this has been, written about a lot, but it's not mainstream media, is that people have regenerated body parts and organs and limbs, and just like a salamander does, And so there's a lot more to what we can do than we realize. And there's lots of cases about people stepping out into this unknown space, this supernatural space, and through changing the way they think and feel first, they can change how their body responds. And when their body responds differently, they show up in their reality in a new way, and that affects the physical reality around them. And then they become the cause of their reality, not the effect. And once you get into the habit of doing this, and you get good at it, and you get skilled at it and practiced at it, then you can start to create some pretty wild, out there experiences for yourself that can be just amazing and life-changing in the best possible way. And they're the ones that we're looking for. Now, at the moment in the world, there's this big narrative all about fear and doubt and insecurity and uncertainty and sickness and poverty, and basically this choice between, people think it's a choice between moving between hell and heaven, heaven and hell. You got to think positive, or you get pulled down into this negative. It's like, no, this is the evolutionary pressure that we need to be able to pop out of the singular timeline, which is kind of boring and mundane and, for the most part, is quite limited. And on an individual scale, on a physical body scale, it is putting your body and mind in a state of autopilot. Now, that's fine if you don't want to take any responsibility for your life and you just want to cruise along and you just want to be pushed along with the current of, nature and evolution, and that's fine. But if you want to be a conscious creator, you want to evolve yourself consciously, you want to consciously evolve, and participate in your evolution, and maybe take a little bit of control over yourself, then what you're wanting to be doing is you want to pop out of this autopilot mode. You still want to use the automatic control systems, but you want to start to direct them. Okay, like for example, what I mean by that, you don't necessarily want to be thinking about consciously beating your heart every few seconds to keep yourself alive, and you don't consciously want to be thinking about filtering your blood system and making sure blood's flowing through your kidneys and all that sort of stuff, and that your liver is clearing away toxins. You don't want to consciously thinking about that. Just like when you want to walk from this room to the next, you don't want to think about every single muscle in sequence walking. You want that all to happen automatically, sure, but you don't want to be in automatic habits that are going to put you back into the singular timeline spectrum and the lower vibrational frequency. What we want to do is we want to start to reprogram ourselves using the automatic processes and autopilots that are already there, the motivation propulsion systems that are already in our mind, and we want to flip them into things that are going to benefit us and propel us into that new frequency. And guys, it's not here and up and up and up. It's up and down, it's up and down, it's up and down, and we ride the waves, we ride them up and we ride them down, and we benefit on the way up and we benefit on the way down, okay? It's just a matter of changing our perspective. And as we keep going along, ping-ponging along sideways, let's say, across these different thresholds of timelines and world lines, eventually we will have changed our energy so much and we will have evolved ourselves so much that we will resonate in a new timeline and a new frequency that is in line with our new way of being, our new self, our higher self, let's say. The one that is not bound by the mind that we had and the energy that we had when we started this whole process. And when we get there, guys, the world is your oyster. The metaverse, meta-universe, the multiverse is your oyster. You will have all the skills you need. You will have all the awareness you need. You will have had all the experiences to make you aware of all the trappings and all the pitfalls and all the potholes and all the conspiracy theories out there and all the traps. You will know it all. And an interesting thing happens when it flips from being the victim to the master. And when you're there, you're in the seat of power, and you can decide where you go and how you get there and what you experience and who you're there with and what you're doing and how often you do it. Okay, so there you go. What a rant and a ramble, but I think there's something in that for all of us, don't you? Thanks for watching. Thanks for your attention. Bye for now, and I'll see you all in the next video.